If you study the God of Moses in the 5 books, you'll see that God is very intolerant of idolatry. What's so terrible about idolatry? They made a mistake about who's God. Okay, but there's a much worse mistake. The reason why the book of Moses is so intolerant of idolatry is because of the relationship with God. In short, idolatry was about getting the gods to do what man wants to do. But the Torah that was given at Sinai was about getting man to do God wants to do. It's a completely different relationship with that God. The ancients worshiped God to get what they wanted. Man was the center of the universe. And they related to a God just to get everything that they wanted in life, whether it was bounty, whether it was health, whatever it was. But the Torah, in absolute contrast, which was given at Sinai, was a covenant of man with God that we are going to do God's bidding. This is man living with the morality of God, not God supplying man with what he wants. There are many conflicting forces within the chest of every human being. There's many ways to describe these conflicting forces. For a millennium, we have described that as the battle between the body and the soul, or the physical and the spirit. That's the way we define it. The body, the physical, is very self-centered, very selfish, very egoistic, not interested in the noble things in life, not at all. The soul, on the other hand, yearns for expression in doing noble and godly and meaningful things. And these conflicts, which are within the chest of every human being, have to be governed and balanced. That, by the way, from the point of view of the Torah, is the purpose of creation. I know people have, and mankind has had great achievements. We look at the fact that we were able to land on Mars, put a flying machine on Mars. I remember when landing on the moon was science fiction. I don't want everyone to know how old I am. But from the Torah's point of view, the purpose of creation was that every individual should learn how to govern these conflicting forces within them, to give the spirit what it needs, to give it its expression, despite the fact that we live in a physical world and we have physical needs and the body is demanding its things. Find the proper way to govern it so that the purpose of doing something noble in life should be achieved. This is not an easy thing to do, by the way. It is a constant battle, as we'll discuss soon. But life without this balance, life without the spirit, life without trying to give the spirit what it yearns, is reduced to an internal anarchy where we acquiesce to everything the selfish body wants. How in the world is it possible to make a government for other people if we haven't learned yet how to govern ourselves? First, we have to learn how to deal with our internal struggles and give everybody what we need internally. Then we could think about creating that for the public. Marriage, as our distinguished speakers have said, marriage was in the master plan of God. The Talmud says something very interesting. Everyone looks at marriage. I forgot, I think it was Mary who said, I don't know, excuse me if I got it wrong. I was listening to everyone so well. People look at marriage as being self-fulfilling. The Talmud says something very interesting about marriage. When a person chooses a spouse, a person has to be sure that they'll be able to fulfill their sacred obligation of love thy neighbor as thyself. Marriage is seen as a responsibility. Marriage is the opportunity for a person to live and take into account someone else besides themselves, to think about another person, to take other interests to heart. It's the perfect place. Having children, raising children, is totally selfless if you want to raise good children, to be good citizens, to continue the world the way it should be. But that is what life is really all about. Marriage and child rearing is the crucible within that the spirit has the opportunity to flex its muscles. When you walk down Fifth Avenue, the spirit is stifled. When you go about life every day, the world beckons to the physical, to the body, not to the soul and the spirit. The soul and the spirit get very few opportunities. But in marriage and child rearing, it's a constant tennis court for the spirit to flex its muscles, get strong, and be able to achieve the nobility that a human being could achieve in life. You know, all of us experience life with all of these conflicting parts of our nature, as the Torah tells us. And we could view our life as a series of paintings. Some of the paintings are very beautiful, and some of them we could be ashamed of. Some of them we would like to display, others we would rather not display. But life and a painting has to be painted on a canvas. The greatest artists, the most vibrant colors, the greatest vision, if you don't have a canvas to paint on, is reduced to a blob, a mess. The canvas upon which the masterpiece of human existence as God saw it is to be painted is the realization of the spark of divinity in every human being and the Spirit's directive to do something meaningful and purposeful and noble in life. The founding fathers of this country bequeathed us with this country because of their wisdom, their talents, and their courage, but only because fundamentally they were painting on this canvas. They recognized this, and in their life there was room for this. Very often I hear, I'm sure all of you have heard it, very often I hear about all the atrocities in history that were perpetrated in the name of God, which is supposed to be a proof that God and religion is bad. I wouldn't be dismayed by that at all. There's nothing new about that. Actually, it's amazing that people say that. It's almost as if Stalin and Mao weren't able to do atrocities in the name of their godless religions. But everyone likes to blame God. Let me tell you something that it says in the Torah. When Moses handed over the Torah scroll to the Jewish people, he said to them, if a person merits, this will be the potion of life. If a person does not deserve it, this will be the potion of death. Someone who wants to be cruel, someone who wants to be evil, someone who wants to be selfish will use everything at their disposal, including religion, said Moses when he gave us the Torah. Religion wasn't meant to be a guarantee. It was meant to be an opportunity, and it's the best and only real opportunity. For a person to be able, if he wants or she wants, to do noble things in life, religion and God will give you that opportunity. I think quite to the contrary, that we should conclude that if a person could commit atrocities in the name of God while they have God and they have His teachings, how much more so without it? I don't think that we have to study too much to find out that that's true in today's day and age. All we have to do is look at history and we'll see that that is so. This, by the way, do I still have some time here?
have 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Oh, man, let's go quick. All right. This is a constant struggle. I'd like to share with you something. In my world, when I speak to university students, I find that one of the teachings, which is Torah Judaism 101, is the most difficult thing for modern man to hear. It doesn't make a difference if you're conservative. It doesn't make a difference where you are. This is something that no one wants to hear, but I'm just telling it to you. This is what we believe. We believe, as it says in the Talmud, don't trust yourself till the day you die. No one wants to hear that. Well, if I can't trust myself, who should I trust? Well, you're complex. The Talmud tells us of Yochanan, who was the great high priest in Jerusalem, who was exemplary for 80 years. And on his 80th birthday, he became an apostate. We don't trust ourselves. That's why we connect ourselves to God and his teachings, so that we always could make sure that the Spirit does not get lost. And this is a constant struggle. The Talmud says, every single day, the evil inclination of a person tries to overpower him. If it were not for God that helps him, he would never be able to succeed. He would succumb. This is not one time. This is not 2 times. This is what life is all about. And the Talmud teaches us that these things that we do when we remember that there's a God, and we remember that a human being is more than just a sophisticated dolphin, and that there is a spark of divinity in each one of us, and each one of us could do things which are not selfish. When we remember that, that's the reason for creation. Do you think that a God who created this universe with all these galaxies is impressed when we can land on Mars? Mars and Earth are not even a speck of dust in the Milky Way, let alone in all the billions of galaxies there are. Our achievements in the physical world are great achievements. I don't mean to minimize everything that we've achieved, but for a creator of this universe, think about what you mean when you say, I believe in God. Do you think God is impressed with the fact that we could get to Mars? Now let me tell you what he's impressed with. Let me tell you American life as experienced by Rabbi Zupnik. Years ago, I was spending the summer in Connecticut and teaching in a program. I live in Jersey. I had to pick up one of my kids from camp. It was 95 degrees outside. I was too lazy to tie the suitcase on the top of the car well. As we were going down I-95 going north, the suitcase flew off the top. I didn't find out till many miles later. I called the police. My son was distraught. The best things that he had were in that suitcase. I didn't have enough money in those days to replace everything right away. I called the police department. I was hoping. Anyway, let's get to the story. So about a week and a half, I had to go back for a date in New Jersey. I walk into the house, and the phone is ringing off the hook. I pick it up. Hello, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for a week and a half. I said, I'm vacationing in Connecticut. I just had to come home for a day. I drive an 18-wheeler. I saw the suitcase fly off of your car. I stopped my truck, I pulled it over, and I got your suitcase. And I've been holding it for a week and a half, and I've been trying to give it back to you. I said, I can't believe this. You know what's in that suitcase? All of my son's most precious belongings. He says, yes. He said, well, so when are you coming to? I said, what do you mean when am I coming? I'm going up to Connecticut. Where do you live? I'll come to your house to get it. This is a true story. I'm not telling you a Baba Mice. You know what a Baba Mice is? I'm telling you this happened with me. Life in the United States of America, the old United States of America. So I said to him, so where do you live? He said to me, you're going up I-95. When you go? I said, tomorrow morning. He said, you'll never find my house. My wife loves to go shopping in a mall, and he told me exactly what exit is. This was the age before cell phones. We had to figure out what his pickup truck looks like, what my car looks like. We met. I get there, and I'm standing there, and I look at this guy. I bought him a bottle. I don't forget what. It cost a lot of money, but to show my appreciation. And I said to him, I can't believe it. I said, why did you do this? The man have the suitcase. He stopped his truck. He came to the mall to give it to me, and he's giving me my suitcase. I'm holding the suitcase. I said, why did you do it? I don't want to cry when I say this, but when I think about the United States, sometimes I want to cry. And he said to me, my mother told me never to take something which is not mine. Now I want to ask you, where did she and he get the ability to act in this noble way? This, mind you, is the spirit, not the body. I can assure you that neither his mother or his grandmother or his grandfather or his uncles decided to behave this way because of a course of sociology which they had at the university. I promise you. There isn't a course of sociology in the whole breadth of the United States that will teach a human being to act that way. I'll tell you why he acted that way. Because he was taught that a man or a woman must stand in humility in the face of the Word of God. And there's something that a human being could do that's better than being selfish and better than being self-centered. And that's the way we're going to lead our lives. This is the diamond in the coal mine. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how much you have to dig in a coal mine to find 1 carat? 8 tons of ore. I don't mean to say that there's not any ore, there's not any coal, there's not any soot in the United States of America. There have been plenty of explosions. There's been plenty of things that are wrong. Listen, if you want to get a diamond, you got to go through a lot of soot and coal. But this is analogous to God's project in this world. Human beings are human. We make mistakes. But then there's the diamond. That's the story that I told you. And that wasn't just that man. That was hundreds and hundreds and thousands of good Americans that I experienced in my youth. And this was because there was a recognition that there's a God that was taught to him, that was taught to his family, and that was made America great. And when people have the ability to live that way themselves and to control themselves that way, we have hope of making a government. Without this, without those diamonds, the government will look like just the rest of the coal. So, we all need to make progress. Nobody is safe from this, from ourselves. All of us need to constantly strengthen ourselves. That's what life is all about. This is what we need to do. But quite frankly, I don't know how we could call any of the things in the United States anymore progressive or progress. Because a lot of the behavior which I see on all sides, by everyone, doesn't look like progress at all. It looks like a throwback to ancient idolatry. That's what it looks like to me. And that's very sad, because that's not what this country was about. I don't know what it is that's going to save America, but I do know that the great America that we knew and that we love was made up by great Americans. The only thing which is going to make this country better is if we prepare the foundation of each and every person. We have learned a very painful lesson. A very painful lesson. What happens when I'm not willing to pay the price to fix the cracks in the foundation? Nobody wants to talk about themselves. Nobody wants to have any personal growth. Nobody wants to question my own relationship with a God. No one wants to ask themselves, am I controlling myself well? Am I behaving the way I should? The greatest challenge to humanity, one of our teachers taught, was, your intellect is here. Your behavior is here. You understand things. You understand things are moral. To get your behavior to rise to the level of your intellect, that, when a person does that, is the greatest accomplishment of mankind. Yes, that's what God is looking for. We don't do it every day. We don't always live that way, but we have it in the background on our canvas, and therefore we have a wealth of diamonds in our lives. So, what should I say? It's clear that the way that we have to restore this country is to start at the foundation. I can't tell you how this is going to be accomplished. I just know without any question, without any doubt, that that's what we all have to do. So let me just end by saying, may God bless all the citizens of the United States and God bless America.